What if I told you one of the most expensive failures in modern history was a product built by the smartest company on Earth? A company with a near-infinite budget, the world's best engineers, and a direct order from its founder to succeed at any cost. And what if I told you it was doomed before the first line of code was ever written? This wasn't a small startup that ran out of money. This was an all-out corporate war, waged by a titan of technology. The company was Google. And the product was its infamous social network, Google+. The project they believed would finally solve their biggest problem, but instead became a global punchline. To understand the disaster of Google+, we have to go back to 2010. Google was on top of the world. It dominated search. It owned online advertising. Its Android operating system was conquering the mobile market. But inside the walls of the Googleplex, there was a deep, existential fear. And that fear had a name: Facebook. Facebook was building what it called the social graph. It was mapping out human relationships, creating a web of connections, photos, and personal data that Google search crawlers couldn't access. Google saw a future where people wouldn't need to search for a restaurant recommendation. They would just ask their friends on Facebook. This was a threat to Google's very core. So, under a direct mandate from co-founder Larry Page, Google declared a company-wide state of emergency. Their response was a project codenamed Emerald Sea. It would become their all-in bet on social. It would become Google+. So how did Google, with every conceivable advantage, money, talent, and 1 billion existing users, launch a social network that became a digital ghost town? How did they get it so catastrophically wrong? That's the question we're answering today. To unlock this strategy, we need to understand the 3 critical mistakes that sealed Google+'s fate from the very beginning. First, Google wasn't building a product because they had a great new idea for social connection. They were building a weapon. The motivation for Google+ wasn't inspiration, it was paranoia. The company had already failed multiple times in social.
Remember Orkut.
Google Buzz, Google Wave, each was a high-profile flop. The pressure to win was immense. When Google+ launched in 2011, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg reportedly saw it, initiated a company-wide lockdown, and told his employees, "I'm here to tell you that our work is not done. Google is a great company, and we need to be on our game." Inside Google, the feeling was mutual. Larry Page tied employee bonuses, for everyone in the company, from engineers to salespeople, to the success of Google's social strategy. This wasn't just another project. It was a forced march. The strategy was to use Google's immense power to ram Google+ into the market. They would leverage their existing empire of products to create an instant user base. This top-down, brute force approach shaped every decision that followed. It was a strategy born from fear, not from a genuine understanding of what people wanted from a social network. The second, and most infamous, mistake was the disastrous rollout. Google didn't try to convince users to join Google+. It tried to force them. This was the core of their social spine strategy. The idea was to weave Google+ into the fabric of every other Google product. Suddenly, to comment on a YouTube video, you needed a Google+ profile. To sign up for Gmail, you were strongly encouraged to create a Google+ account. This tactic was incredibly effective at one thing: creating millions of accounts. On paper, user growth looked explosive. But in reality, it was a sham. These weren't active, engaged users who chose to be there. They were hostages. People deeply resented this. They didn't want their anonymous YouTube persona suddenly linked to their real name on a public Google+ profile. They didn't want to be part of a social network they never asked to join. This created the platform's defining characteristic: it was a ghost town. Millions of profiles, but no one was posting. There was no conversation, no community, no life. The network effect, where a service becomes more valuable as more people use it, never happened. Because the network wasn't real. It was an illusion, created by forcing users into empty digital houses they never intended to live in. Finally, Google Plus failed because nobody knew what it was actually for. Think about successful social platforms. Facebook is for your friends and family. Twitter is for public conversation and news. LinkedIn is for your professional life. Each has a clear, singular purpose. What was Google Plus? It had circles, a clever but slightly confusing way to group your contacts. It had Hangouts, a video chat feature that was genuinely superior to its competitors at the time. It had beautiful photo sharing tools. But it lacked a soul. It had no central identity. Was it a Facebook killer? Was it just a central profile for all your Google activity? The design reflected this confusion. It was clean and minimalist, in typical Google fashion. But it felt sterile. It was a product built by engineers, for a problem defined by executives. It solved Google's problem, the need for a unified social data layer, but it didn't solve a problem for the average user. People are busy. They don't adopt a new social network unless it offers them something new, something better, something different. Google Plus offered a technically competent product with no compelling reason to use it. It was a solution in search of a problem. And this is where all the pieces come together. The paranoia, the forced integration, the lack of a clear identity. They were all symptoms of one, single, fatal flaw. The aha moment is this: Google Plus was never truly a consumer product. It was a corporate strategy disguised as one. It wasn't built to delight users. It was built to serve Google's strategic interests. It was a data-gathering tool designed to compete with Facebook's social graph. It was an internal project, driven by internal fear, that was pushed onto an unwilling public. Users can feel this. They know when a product is serving the company's needs more than their own. The entire project was an inside-out strategy. It started with Google's problems and tried to force a solution onto the market. A successful social product must be outside in. It must start with a genuine human need, a desire for connection or expression, and build a solution for that. Google tried to engineer a community. It tried to manufacture a network effect with brute force. And that is why it was doomed from the start. The foundation of the entire project was fundamentally flawed. And if you're having your own aha moment about why giant companies fail, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. It helps us unlock the next big idea. The ultimate lesson of Google Plus is a powerful one. You cannot force people to connect. A product success isn't just about technical excellence or a massive budget. It's about empathy. It's about understanding the real, human problems you are solving. Google saw social media as a technical problem to be solved with better engineering and integration. They missed the most important part, the humanity. They built a perfect skeleton, but it had no heart. The broader business principle here is the danger of losing sight of your customer. When your internal strategy, your fears, and your competitive anxieties become more important than the user you're supposed to be serving, you are destined to fail. No matter how big you are. If you learn something new, hit the like button and subscribe for more strategy breakdowns. And let us know in the comments, what company's strategy should we unlock next?